And I keep hearing we're in a housing bubble, and then house prices are going to crash. Oh my gosh, crash. Oh, experts are running around saying prices are going to go crashing down. I hear the same thing about the stock market, and I have heard the same thing about the stock market for many years. And frankly, the fundamentals of either of those is not true. Now, could they be artificially manipulated by one of the big investment firms or a political entity? Yeah. But as far as fundamentals go, as supply and demand, neither of those are factual. Let's walk through it. Now, I am not a certified investment banker, real estate agent. I'm just a teacher, and I study this stuff. But that doesn't make me an expert. These are just my opinions. I want to make your life better. That's it. Now, with the stock market, there are about 6 companies that own 35% of the stock market. And most of those are investment firms with many retirement functions inside of them. So in order for the stock market to crash, that would mean that a ton of investors would have to cash out their retirements at the same time. Yes, there are baby boomers that were born between 1945 and 1965 that are retiring for sure. But guess what? Most of them already have retired and are already accessing their stocks and in their retirement funds. So that's happened. So then the next thing is, are people just running to their investment account to sell their stocks? Some are, and there might be a downward blip, but there's no way the stock market's going to crash. Whereas real estate, there's a lot of people that have mortgages at 4 and 3%. And yeah, the mortgage currently is at 6.25%. So let's say they lower it to 6 or 5.5. That doesn't mean there's just a drastic amount of people that are going to run out to sell their property. They still have their mortgage at 4 and 3%. But the good thing is that more people will qualify. Therefore, prices should stabilize and actually possibly go up. So this idea that the real estate market is going to crash or stocks are going to crash, ask yourself this: who is saying this? Who has a vested interest in running onto social media and saying there's a bubble where everything's going to crash? It's people that want to buy at a cheaper price, like a big investment firm might have a lot of money and they want to buy a bunch of real estate at a cheap price. So they go, oh yeah, it's going to crash, and forcing you to go, oh my gosh, I better sell, because that's kind of what's happening right now. Same with the stock market. It's people with cash going, hey, I better push down the market somehow so that I can buy a bunch at a cheaper price. They have a vested interest. I was actually listening to a podcast, and the guy's like, oh, the stock market's going to crash. You got to buy a bunch of gold. And at the very end of the show, turns out he's selling gold. So there's all these people with a vested interest. Be careful of that. Do your research. Could a outside source cause problems for the real estate market and the stock market? Absolutely. I mean, think about the 2008 crash. That was all set up because the government allowed banks to loan money to people that couldn't afford it, and they all kind of crashed at once, for sure. That's outside your control or my control, and same with big stock market crashes. Those were manipulated by some of the big companies in order to lower the price so they can go buy a bunch of stocks at a cheaper price. It's all manipulated. So that could happen, but the standard fundamentals of supply and demand do not contribute, in my opinion, to a housing market crash or a stock market crash. When President Trump won the election in 2016, all I heard was the stock market's going to crash from these political experts. When Joe Biden won the election in 2020, all I heard was the stock market's going to crash. Didn't happen. President Trump won in 2020, all I heard was the stock market's going to crash. Didn't happen. So you got to ask yourself, who is just talking your things down so that they can buy in at a lower price? That's all it is. Do your research, okay? But don't worry. Be cautious. If you want to go buy a house, see if you can buy a house. If you want to buy stocks, buy stock. But by the way, I keep pushing the fact that everyone needs a Roth IRA at every age. If you're 18 years old, get one.
You're 25 years old, get one. They're pretty inexpensive to get, and your money grows tremendously. Even if you're 45, get a Roth IRA. All right, and that money goes into the stock market. People don't understand that. If you put money into any kind of retirement account, even a public employee's retirement account, the money is in the stock market and other entities for sure. But the stock market holds a lot of those. So if the stock market crashes, everybody loses. It doesn't make sense. And if you buy gold, you can't take gold out and buy bread. You got to go to someone that's willing to, buy that gold from you at a higher price. So be cautious on precious metals. I'm not saying don't invest in some. It's just like investing in baseball cards. For sure, do it. Have fun with it, but be careful. It's very hard to sell a baseball card once you have it, unless it's pristine and it's a very collectible one. But if it's one of those that's got 10,000 in your grade, they're very hard to sell. That doesn't mean don't do it. Same with gold. Right now, I just talked to someone that has a coin shop. He's like, dude, I don't even take gold in. I don't buy gold because it's too volatile, it's too high. So what does that mean going forward? By the way, if gold or silver is actually, crazy value, that means that the whole economy is going to crash. Scary. And yeah, Bitcoin is something, and all those hold value for sure. I'm not saying don't invest in any of those kind of investments, but be cautious.